Hulk versus Thor. What happens when two of the greatest titans in the Marvel Universe fight it out to become the champion of the universe? Well, that's the story we're going to be covering today. It was a digital release that came out around the time of Thor Ragnarok, and we've broken it into two storylines because it is freaking long. So here's issues 1 through 3 of Hulk vs. Thor, the digital version. And don't forget, today's episode is brought to you by Hims, a wellness brand for men focusing on hair, skin, and sexual wellness. Hims, a new wellness brand for men. Did you know that 66% of men lose their hair by age 35? Well, I know that Thor Odinson doesn't have to worry about that. The guy is like over 1,000 years old or something crazy, and he still hasn't lost his hair. Now, I don't know exactly what he has done to prevent his own hair loss. Maybe he checks for bald spots, or he's looking to see if his hairline is slowly moving backwards. But you know what he could be possibly doing? Using Hims products. 4hims.com is your one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and sexual wellness for men. It connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat things like hair loss. You can get well-known generic equivalents to name-brand prescriptions that will help you and Odinson possibly keep your hair. You don't have to use snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. You can use prescription solutions backed by science. No waiting room, no awkward doctor visits. Save hours by going to 4hims.com. And if you order right now, my listeners will get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today while supplies last. See their website for full details, but this would cost you hundreds if you went to a doctor or a pharmacy. Go to 4hims.com/complete. That's FORHIMS.com/complete for your 4hims supplement today. Just outside of the Earth's orbit, two of the mightiest Avengers do what they can to protect the Earth by smashing asteroids that an alien ship has started hurling towards the planet. Thor breaks through another asteroid and yells, "Ha! The mighty Thor has cleaved 27 space rocks. What say you, Hulk?" And the Hulk punches through another and shouts, "Hulk smash space rocks! Then Hulk smash Blondie's puny head." Thor laughs and asks the Hulk, "How about we make a competition out of this then? That way you can witness the might of Mjolnir." He throws his hammer through another 5 asteroids, asking, "What do you make of that?" And the Hulk grabs 2 of the asteroids, throwing them into a group of asteroids, and the Hulk says, "I see a cluster that you missed." As he flies towards it, the Hulk claps his hands, throwing Thor off his balance, knocking him into a rather large asteroid. Hulk floats down, telling him, 76. What little hammers say about that?" And Thor tells him, "Fine. How about this large rock that you pressed again?" The Hulk tells him, "Rock not rock, that rock's ship." And Thor laughs, telling him, "Double or nothing then. Whoever brings down the alien ship wins the day." Without saying nothing, Hulk punches Thor down so hard that he shoots through the entire ship. And Hulk shrugs, telling him, "Hulk wins again." And now with a hole in the alien ship, the Hulk flies, grabbing one of the aliens, and he begins to beat the others with the alien that he grabbed. The aliens begin to run away, and then from the other side, Thor flies in, telling Hulk, "You've gone too far. We will deal with this after we stop these aliens." However, as the two of them fight their way through the ship towards the command room, they're suddenly stopped and trapped within 2 bubbles. Thor asks, "What devilry is this?" And then a light shines and the two see a silhouette of a figure and a female voice yelling, "It is finally time for the actual game to begin." The light fades and a dark-skinned woman in pink says that it's been far too long for these men to pretend that they are the strongest there is. She then jumps to another part of the stars, stating, "Today they will face off against Trico, champion of the universe." And what is an all-powerful god of battle to do? Why, find the universe's best height woman ever. And that would be me, last of my race, elder of the universe, mistress of marketing. The promoter! Thor tells the promoter, "Hold on for a moment. You wanted to throw asteroids towards Earth just to get our attention? All you had to do was ask." The promoter says that there is so much more to it than that. Right now, it is time for them to prove their worth and find out which of them will face off against Trico. The projector in the middle of the floor begins to light up and display a belt. And the promoter says, "The first challenge is to find this belt. It's called the Belt of Thurgid, the Unbeatable." And Thor says, "Wait, the Frost Giant champion? The one and the very same, but don't worry, something worse has already killed him, so have a nice trip." As she snaps her fingers, the heroes suddenly see black as they're dropped into a dark cave. Thor grabs and holds up his hammer to provide light, and Hulk pulls his hand back from touching a wall, and he says, "Hulk hates sticky cave." He takes a step, walking through some of the muck, and shouts, "Why floor sticky?" Then the Hulk hears something, and he punches the wall, smashing something. Thor looks back, asking, "What did you just smash?" And the Hulk says, "Hulk saw a bug. big bug. Thor sighs and continues to walk forward, stating that he has a theory as to what killed their frost giant. It would probably be the brood infestation, which he just smashed. The small broods begin to skitter, and Thor tells Hulk that he believes that it's time to begin counting again. As the two begin to run back the way they came, Hulk punches through what he can, yelling, "Hulk just need bug spray!" Thor stops and turns back, holding his hammer up, shocking all of the surrounding brood. And Hulk continues running forward, shouting, "Hulk leaving! Hulk not like bugs!" Thor tells him, "Wait! There's no light!" But before he can finish, the Hulk is thrown out of the tunnel that he just went into. Thor looks down the tunnel, asking, "What manner of beast throws the Hulk thusly?" As Mjolnir's light shines in, a giant brood wearing the belt that they are looking for arrives. And Thor says, "You must be Thurgid, the unbeatable." As the brood leans down, telling Thor that that was the body of Thurgid the unbeatable, "I have now become one of the brood, and now you shall join me as guardian." As the brood lunges at Thor, he flies out of the way, slamming his hammer down onto the brood's leg, calling forth the thunderous crackle of lightning. As Thor pulls his hammer back, he notices that it didn't do anything, and the brood laughs, telling him, "Frost giant magic. The belt makes the armor indestructible, and the brood have already got a natural exoskeleton. There is no way that you can win." The brood then smacks Thor into a slime-covered wall, and as Thor tries to free himself, the brood begins to move in. Just before it can get close, Hulk runs in, grabbing the brood by the leg, throwing him into the wall. And then he looks up at the Thor and he says, "Blondie, see belt." And Thor tells him, "It's on the creature! Now get him down so that we can." A hissing sound comes from behind them, and the Hulk yells, "Hulk not smash bugs! Hulk squash bugs!" And he proceeds to start jumping on the smaller brood. Thor sighs as he tries to free himself, and that's when his hammer begins to light up. It begins to burn away the slime, keeping it in place. Back down below, the Thurgid brood swipes at the Hulk, telling him, "You will make an excellent addition to the brood." But while more of the brood begin to surround the Hulk, Thor charges up his hammer and he manages to throw it down, barely missing the Thurgid brood. The Thurgid brood says that perhaps the Asgardian isn't worth infecting. He seems to have missed. And Thor asks, "Did I?" And just as he says that, the hollow ground begins to crumble beneath the brood. The ground finally gives way, causing the Thurgid brood to fall into a pit, and Thor shouts, "There! Now help me so that I can retrieve the belt." Thor thinks about it and then smiles. "Hulk not stupid." And he jumps down below. As he lands on the Thurgid brood, he says, "Hulk not know much, but Hulk know belter for holding up pants. And bugs not wear pants." As Hulk pulls the belt off, he jumps out of the hole, crashing into Thor, and then he continues jumping until the two of them are out of the cave. But just as they both get outside, they suddenly pop out of existence. As the two blink, they find themselves back in the bubble cages that they were in before, and the promoter takes the belt off, stating that that is one big green monster. The promoter snaps her fingers again, changing into a suit of armor, stating that the next place that they are heading to is in a faraway world, where swords and sorcery rule. Whoever brings the champion this locket will get the next point and be one step closer to the challenging. Oh, and by the way, last I heard, the locket was owned by a dragon. The promoter snaps her fingers again, and the two disappear, and they reappear on the planet Wildlands. Thor magically pops, appearing in the sky, and as he grasps, he doesn't feel anything, shouting, "Where's my hammer?" Without his hammer, Thor falls down, crashing into the trees below before finally slamming his head onto the ground. He then reaches for his helmet, stating that pratfall was worthy of the great Volstagg. Let's try calling Mjolnir again. But before he can shout, he hears a woman's voice call out that there he is. She saw him fall from the sky, and yet he still lives. How is it even possible? Thor says that it takes much more than that to harm the god of thunder, and the woman says that he needs to let her take care of him. At her home, she has bandages and fresh water. Thor begins to get up, telling her, "Well, I can think of no better place to begin my quest. My name is Thor, son of Odin. What mere word could we use to call one as beautiful as you?" The woman says that her name is Uldar, daughter of Dreki, and Thor says, "Well met. Now, there is one thing that I must know. Does this world have mead?" Elder helps Thor to his feet, and as she carries him off, she asks, "What is mead?" After a short while and getting over the sadness of there being no mead, Eldor brings Thor to the spring to bathe him, and he says that he's starting to think that she has other motives. She laughs, stating that she does. His smell is rather overwhelming, and Thor says, "It is a fair statement." As he gets down into the spring, he mentions that he does have a question. What does she know of dragons? She continues to retrieve his bandages, telling him that there are very few left. They were hunted relentlessly by the king's guard. Thor washes himself, stating that she says that as if she mourns for them. Are they not dangerous beasts? and she tells him that they're not as dangerous as some would have them believe. He goes back to washing himself as 3 knights walk by, and they shout, asking, what is he doing? There are dragons loose, and he has no clothing on? He steps out of the spring, stating that there must be some mistake. There are no dragons. I'm merely waiting for medical assistance for my injuries, but one of the knights shouts that there she is, Eldor, daughter of Dreki. Halt in the name of the king. Thor steps between the knights and the woman, stating, now, surely you do not wish to harm this lady. And one of the knights states that that is not a lady, that is an abomination. Thor reaches down, grabbing one of the knight's swords, kicking him back, stating, fine. Then you best back away before I have to get involved. However, there's a ripping sound coming from behind him, and he asks, what was that? And as he turns around to see Eldor, he sees that she's finished transforming into a dragon. And Thor says, this is not how I imagined that this relationship would progress. As she towers over Thor and the knight, she roars, and Thor says that surely there is a way to resolve this matter without eating these men. And one of the knights shouts that they shall run this ungodly creature through, and runs up, stabbing Eldor in the foot. Eldor howls in pain and backs up, and Thor notices that she's not fighting back. He then asks, what manner of knights are you? No creature will perish under my watch. And after grabbing a log, he jumps in to fight the knights. One of the knights points their sword at Thor, telling him that he stands between the defenders of the realm and the scourge that threatens to destroy the kingdom. And Thor says, no. I stand for a kind lady who tended for a stranger in need, simply because I was in need. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Hulk is doing Hulk things, like holding a one-man siege against a castle because the knights shot him with arrows. But back with Thor, while he fights off the knights, one managed to sneak up behind him and stab him in the shoulder with a dagger. Eldor shouts that he has been murdered, and Thor tells her, nay, I shall live. And Eldor shouts that she cannot allow these madmen to kill those who would fight for her. With one deep breath, she opens her mouth, releasing a giant wave of fire, burning the knights where they stand. As Thor attempts to treat the stab wound, Eldor transforms back into her human form, running over, telling Thor that she needs to take the dagger out. Before returning, Thor looks up and sees the locket that he's after around her neck, and he says, that locket. Eldor pulls the blade out, asking what of it, and Thor explains that he was tasked to retrieve it. It was supposed to be a contest to prove his strength. She looks at the dagger, stating that the blade was crafted from either the tooth of her mother or sister, all in the name of strength. As her tone changes, she begins to transform back into a dragon, shouting that if it's a test of strength he wants, then she shall show them all what strength is. Meanwhile, back at the castle, in a rather unexpected turn of events, the Hulk is now knighted by the queen, since apparently all he wanted to do was fight a dragon. But just before the queen can lower her sword, there's a sudden crash and something is thrown through the hallways and into the queen. As the smoke clears, she looks up, holding Thor, and Thor says, please forgive me, I'm having a bit of a dispute with a lady friend. Hulk stands up, asking, Blondie lost hammer and pants? You should have come with me. These men wanted to fight Hulk, but now Hulk ain't knight and go fight dragon. Blondie should come. But before Hulk can finish, Thor smacks him with a table, stating no thank you, and he quickly escapes outside of the castle. As he makes his way outside, he calls to Eldor, telling her that she doesn't have to do this if she's going to attack the castle. Now she would not only be killing soldiers, but women and children. There's no redemption from such slaughter. He cannot allow her to continue any further with this madness. She kneels down, telling him that he's right, she can't. That's when the Hulk shouts, Blondie! Thor looks over at Hulk, covered in knight's armor, and he yells, Blondie fight dragon and not to Hulk! Blondie cheat! Hulk have at you. Thor tries to tell him to wait, but before Thor realizes it, Hulk leaps over him and punches into Eldor. Eldor roars and releases a blast of fire, but before the fire can hit the Hulk, Thor runs in, knocking him out of the way. Eldor asks Thor if he would sacrifice himself for this brute as well, and Thor tells her that his people have faced death 100 times over. Hulk may seem like a savage, but he is a soul at war with himself, much like you. Eldor begins to change back, and she says that he saved her this day. Please take the locket. It has the power to heal any wound, and Thor tells her that he could not accept such a thing. So she places the locket into Thor's hand, and him and Hulk begin to fade. Eldor says that it is a shame that he must go. She was thinking of mending his wounds, and allow him to mend a few of hers if he knows what she means. Thor shouts, Promoter! What say you allow us to? But before he could finish, he disappears. Seconds later, Thor wakes up in a room and he sees that Bruce is Bruce. He's not the Hulk, he's Bruce Banner. He rushes over to try and wake him up and he yells, I've had enough of these games. And another voice tells Thor that once she snaps his fingers, he will fall into a deep sleep. Just as Thor says, nay! The woman snaps and Thor passes out. The promoter tells the two of them that this is Carla Soffin, psychologist, master manipulator, and supervillain known as Moonstone, and she will be administering the psychological round of testing. And there you have it, Hulk versus Thor, the first 3 issues of this storyline brought to you right here at Comicstorian and sponsored by forhims.com, a wellness brand for men. Don't forget to check out the link down below to get yourself a trial month. And if you want to support us here at Comicstorian just one step further, join the people on the screen by going to our Patreon, where we offer things like behind-the-scenes footage, a weekly podcast just for the Patreons, movie nights, getting your name on the screen as you can see, and things like comic book raffles. Just an idea. All those links are down below, and I'll see you next time right here at Comicstorian.